everyone, we're back. Sorry for being MIA and for not providing any updates or even letting you guys know that we were going to be taking a break. This break wasn't planned and we were not sure when we were coming back. We didn't even think it was going to take this long. I was personally going through a lot these past few weeks and I didn't have the mental capacity to take on more than what I was already going through. I was pretty absent from social media and abandoned our podcast for a few weeks, but we're here and we appreciate you all for coming back to listen to us. So, welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. Bienvenidos a Soy Violento, Soy Macabro Podcast. Yo soy Ali.
Y yo soy Dee.
Y hoy Dee nos contará de un caso que sucedió en Healdsburg, California. Advertencia: la información de este caso puede ser desencadenante para algunos. Tengan en cuenta que algunos de estos casos pueden involucrar menores de edad, abuso, violación o violencia. Escuchen con precaución.
Warning: the information on this case can be triggering to some. Please be advised that some of these cases may involve children, abuse, rape, and violence. Listen with caution. In 2016, Gerardo Ordaz believed that he needed spiritual cleansing. Desperate to get rid of what he thought was an evil presence, he went to a church seeking for divine intervention. What unfolded remains a haunting and tragic mystery that haunts Gerardo to this day. This is the tragic case of Maria Jose Ordaz Chavarria.
If we knew something like this was going to happen, we would have tried to help him out.
Naxi Mendoza is a cousin of the accused man. Today she told us of a GoFundMe page for the family and of the victim's mother, who does not work and still has 4 other children to support.
She's devastated. She's heartbroken. Well, most of all, by prayers, the children, lost a sister and, their father's not with them right now and maybe will never be.
Gerardo Mendoza Ordaz was 42 years old in 2016 from Healdsburg, California, a small town near Santa Rosa County in Northern California, with a population of roughly 1,000 people. So the community was really small, and everybody knew each other. Everybody got along really well. Like it's basically really, really small to the point that not a lot of things are going on during the time, and even crime rate is really, really low. The crime rate in Healdsburg is one of the lowest in California, with murder cases occasionally happening every couple of years. So it's that low.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to Press Democrat, Gerardo and his family had recently moved to Healdsburg from Sacramento 6 months prior to the incident. He had worked as a farmer in Sacramento, and he switched to his profession to a jornalero, or as a day laborer, which is also known as like a person that does day-to-day jobs. And he decided to move to Healdsburg with his family. In 2016, the family consisted of Gerardo, his wife Maria Guadalupe Chavarria, 2 of Maria's older children from a previous marriage, and his 9-year-old son and 4-year-old Maria Jose. At the time, Maria Guadalupe was actually pregnant with the couple's 3rd child. However, things rapidly change in November 2016. On the evening of November 20th, 2016, Gerardo took his 9-year-old son and 4-year-old Maria Jose to the St. John Catholic Church in the city of Healdsburg. They walked almost a mile and a half away from their home to the church. The reason behind it? He believed that the children were actually possessed with an evil spirit. Gerardo told investigators that he was on a methamphetamine binge behind his wife's acknowledgement. and hadn't slept for 3 days. The lack of sleep and him being high on meth caused him to have hallucinations and made him believe that he needed to find somebody to exorcise the quote-unquote devil out of him and his 2 younger children. Once he walked into the church, he was on the lookout for a pastor to help him remove the evil spirits from them. However, on that Sunday, there was nobody in church. It was completely empty. But the church does leave the church open after hours for people to come in and, pray, get some holy water, and, just leave it open for the community without any expectations for somebody needing a priest. However, Gerardo was determined to get rid of these evil spirits. He decided to try on his own. So he led the children into the large-shaped Baptist pool in the center of the church that was in a form of a cross. According to court documents, Gerardo told investigators that while he was holding his daughter and feeding her holy water, she had made a sound, so he lowered her onto the water to make her drink more water. He acknowledged that he may have put her under for just a brief moment under the water, the holy water, and then later communicated again that he never submerged her completely underneath the water. According to testimony, Gerardo said that that he gave Maria water, and that out of nowhere, her hair went up. So according to what detective determined is that her hair levitated off the water. So she was, under the water for a few seconds, a minute, who knows. And then he said that he was afraid, so he gave her more water, to drink out of his hand. Gerardo told investigators that she drowned and made a noise, but he also claimed that Maria did not cry, did not scream, didn't push him, didn't do anything to acknowledge that she was dying. So he didn't assume that she was drowning. He just assumed that he needed to give her water in some way or another. He was also high, so he couldn't really determine, what was going on in that moment.
So in his head, ¿cómo explain it? Like, ¿qué pensó que estaba pasando? Que nada más la metió y...
Yeah, according to what detectives say, the cross, the pool basically, is only a feet or two high.
Okay.
So for her, there's no capability of him actually submerging her whole body and drowning her into the water. It's still unclear how it all happened because he was high and his son was 9 years old. So there's no, determination of what actually was going on. According to his testimony, he submerged her head to the water while he was feeding her water. And somehow in that moment, he doesn't know if he pushed her head a little bit too low to the point that she wasn't able to breathe in any way. It's still very hard to determine on what exactly happened because there's no visual representation of what was happening. But he says that he just knows that he kept trying to feed her water during the time that she was in the pool. So he doesn't know in what moment she completely was submerged into the water. At around 8:30 p.m., Gerardo showed up behind the Hellsberg Police Department naked, alongside his partially clothed 9-year-old son, while he was crying and calling for help. According to KTVU, Gerardo was yelling help and police in Spanish as he held his daughter in his arms. His 9-year-old son stood next to him wearing only shorts. Gerardo told the officers that he and his children were drinking holy water from the church a few meters away from the parking lot. The officers called for first responders and waited for their arrival. Maria was later then taken to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced dead. When officials reached the church, they did a full investigation to determine that Gerardo was the main perpetrator of the crime, and his son was witnessing the murder of his sister. On November 22nd, 2016, 42-year-old Gerardo appeared bewildered and grief-stricken at the Sonoma County Court. Gerardo was charged with murder and felony for child abuse for the endangerment of both of his children and the murder of Maria. He was also charged with inflicting emotional distress to his 9-year-old son. Judge Arthur Wick ordered a psychologist to evaluate the mental state of Gerardo after his lawyer told the judge that he doubts that he was competent for trial. For several weeks, Gerardo was evaluated by 2 different psychiatrists, and they both told the judge that Gerardo was incompetent to stand trial, that he was to stay medicated because he still couldn't understand what was happening, and he was too emotionally, I guess, triggered by what actually happened and, killing his daughter, that he couldn't stand trial and understand the charges he was facing. During court procedures, he was sent back to Sonoma State Prison, but we're told that he might be sent to Napa State Hospital to continue being evaluated until he is competent to understand his charges. Gerardo's cousin, Nancy Mendoza, told ABC 7 News, quote, "Maybe if we knew something like this was going to happen, we could have tried to help him out." In August of 2021, just as his murder trial was about to begin, Gerardo accepted the charges for voluntary manslaughter and child abuse, cutting his possible sentence from 25 years to life down to 11 years. The plea deal comes as a way to avoid extreme emotional public trial for him and his family. In October 2021, Judge Robert LaForge sentenced Gerardo to a maximum sentence for manslaughter after reading the pre-sentencing report and recommendations from Gerardo's probation officer, where he wrote about Gerardo's time in prison. Gerardo's nephew, Alexander Castellano Ordaz, told the Press Democrat that the family is hopeful that Gerardo can work on his mental health in prison and come out of prison in a better state. Carlos Ordaz, an extended family member, said that Maria was one of Gerardo's 4 children, and he was his favorite child, basically, because he was the girl of the group of children. He said, quote, "He loved her the most." As of today, Gerardo is still in prison for the tragic murder of Maria Jose. He lives with the grief of killing his own daughter and lives with the pain of what he did. Although the family is still hoping for Gerardo's release in a couple of years, they also are still in the journey of healing from this horrible tragedy. However, our hearts go out to Maria Jose's family as well as Gerardo's family, who have lost 2, people in this case. One that lost, almost a decade of his life in prison, and on the other hand, a 4-year-old child that was just, listening to her dad in a horrible, horrible state of mind. This is a
I was gonna say, sorry, before you, and the little brother, he didn't say anything, like he didn't report what he saw, or
according to what I read and during the investigation, they took his testimony, but it was like a very tragic event for him that he kind of like couldn't recall exactly what
he
happened.
blocked it out.
Yeah. So he knows that he, went to the church with his dad and he told him to drink the holy water, but that's about it. He doesn't really recall like specific details or anything like to add to the case that was already in the case.
Yeah.
Because according to them, Gerardo was basically told them the whole thing, but they would piece together other stuff by what the son said.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. A tragic case.
It is. It is. This is a tragic case of Maria Jose Ordaz Chavarria.
We do believe that she was drowned and that was intentional. We're relying on the testimony of the older son and the statement of the suspect. They were the only people inside the church at the time. There were no other parties present. As I understand it, our local Catholic church leaves the doors to the premises unlocked late on Sundays, and so they were in there alone at the time through the unlocked front door.
Muy mal, porque es un lugar tranquilo y no pasan esas cosas, ¿me entiende?
Son de mi mismo pueblo, pero ¿por qué lo hizo? Solamente él lo sabe.
I was gonna ask you, was there any reports on like history of Gerardo being violent with the kids or abusive, or did this surprise the family?
So based on like what I had, the research that I had done and interviews that they had with people in the neighborhood, they said that he was a lovely father, that he loved his children, that they, even though they had just moved into the neighborhood, like he was there for his children. He was there for them this whole like time. So it was very shocking that he did something like this. And I think it also shows that it was just a tragedy from him being in this state of mind as well as under the influence. Because to me, when I was reading the case and like trying to understand it, for me, it's like it wasn't, how we've had cases where the mom kills their children because of, evil beings or whatever. But for him, it was like he himself was trying to get rid of the demons that he had in himself as well as his children. So it was the way that I tried to understand it, the best way that I could, was that it wasn't a selfish infliction of I'm going to kill you because you're sin, but we have to get rid of this that we have inside because, I don't want this to take over our lives or, be with us.
Like in other cases where it's like, they kill their children, that's it.
Yeah. And like, because the other cases that we've seen about, parents killing their children because of spiritual reasons or whatever, you can tell this like lack of remorse in their eyes in a way. And
the emptiness, that empty look.
Yeah. And even for Gerardo, when you see photos of him in like these articles, you just see pain and like grief. And even when he went into court for when this crime had just happened, a lot of the family members are said to hear him like in agony while he was being taken away and saying, why did I do this? Why did I do this? So even though he did this horrible crime and he was like under the influence, he still had remorse for it. And I feel like a lot of the other parents that we've seen don't. They just do it because, they feel like they're spiritually inclined to do that. Well, he actually had remorse and like sadness and anguish from it. And even his family, I would have like, if there was a malice in it, I think the family would have asked for a higher, prison sentence. But even them are like, he would never do this. And I think that also shocked me a lot, that even though this happened, the family was still like, he doesn't deserve to, stay in prison his whole life. He needs help. So.
That's hard. Pobre niñita.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's a horrible accident because of horrible circumstances. And of course, we say this all the time, a child never deserves to die in these circumstances or die in these tragic ways. But yeah, it's to me, it's mind blowing. And even though it's hard to have empathy for somebody that did this, it still feels like, you still feel bad for him for knowing that he did this tragic thing over him being under the influence and hallucinating. So, yeah.
And that's a whole other conversation when it comes to drugs.
Yeah.
Right? When being under the influence, because specific drugs can make you see things and do things. And
yeah. And it's not only like illegal drugs. There's also like, prescription drugs that make you do that. If you abuse of certain drugs or take the wrong medication, it could cause something like this. So, it could always also either be something that you buy illegally, and it could also be something that, you get over the counter or like in the black market or something, So it's tragic.
Yeah.
But in case you want to continue the conversation when it comes to this case or any other case, or if you want to talk about, in this like certain circumstances or what happened in this case, just remember that you can leave us a comment in our social media platforms. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X as it's known now, Threads. Did I say TikTok already?
No, you didn't.
TikTok and YouTube. Am I forgetting something?
I don't think so. No.
Probably Blue Sky, Threads, whatever.
Yeah,
I'll include that in there. You will find the links in our... You will find the social media platforms in the description below of this episode, as well as on our link tree that we have on our bio on all of our social media platforms. Just give us a follow. We will usually post about the case, and you can leave, your comments there. You can talk to us through there, or if you want to have a one-on-one conversation, you can DM us and you can have a conversation there. You can follow us at SVSM_podcast or on Facebook as Soy Violento Macabro Podcast. Also, if you look us up on YouTube, just put Soy Violento Macabro Podcast or SVSM_podcast and we should pop up. So yeah, if you want to listen to let me count episodes, the 134 episodes.
135. This would be 136.
Oh crap! I thought this was on 35.
No, it's 136.
See, thank you. If you want to listen to the 135 episodes that we have, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you stream podcasts. Just type Soy Violento Macabro Podcast or SVSM_podcast or so just Macabro Podcast together or whatever, and you will find all of our catalogs there. And we also get the comments that you leave on our Spotify. We get a little email with your comments, and I have to say, while we've been on a break, we've received a few of those, and it really made me happy, and it made me feel like we need to come back.
Thank you, guys.
There was one specific one that I don't have with me right now, but they asked us to do an episode with the guys of Que Spooky podcast. So, if there's enough hype, we might just ask the boys if we can collab.
The boys. We'll ask them. Be like,
also,
hey.
Talking about the Que Spooky podcast, they did an episode recently. I forgot what was the case, but their latest episode. If you listen to this episode in March, they did an episode this past week. It was captivating. Let's just say that it was a good episode.
Okay.
And I recommend it to everybody. It was such a good episode. They are, I swear, I was like tuned in, and it's really hard for me to do that with my attention span lately, but I recommend it. If you guys have time, if you want to listen to another true crime case, tune into their latest episode. It was phenomenal.
We love them.
We do.
So
we love them.
We'll reach out to them and see if they want to,
Collab.
Yeah.
But with that, I don't know. Do we have anything else?
No, I think that was it. We're, happy to be back.
Definitely.
You guys missed us.
I
We missed you guys.
I hope you guys missed us because we missed you guys, and yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for those that kept sending us comments and messages. We really,
Yes.
really appreciate all of you. Every single
We
one
do.
of you.
We do. We really appreciate every single thing that you guys do for us, and without you guys, there would be no this. So
Right.
thank you guys for motivating us, for listening, for supporting, for subscribing, for following, all the good stuff. We are endlessly thankful, and we appreciate everything you guys do for us. And yeah. Anything else?
No, that is it.
That is all. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, nos vemos la próxima semana. Adiós.
Bye. Stay spooky.
Quédate spooky.
Bye, guys. Happy
Bye.
March.
Happy March. Yeah. Oh, el tiempo cambia este fin de semana. The time
God.
change. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna get the the sun is gonna set at a later time.
Why?
You don't like it? I hate coming out of work and then it's dark. I want to come out of work and que traiga algo de sol.
It's because, for me, it's I know that the summer's coming and I hate
Oh,
it. Sorry.
I forgot. You're not a summer baby.
I am not. Give me the cold. Right now it's raining in California, so this is my element. This is my me time right now. I love it. I absolutely adore it. My parents are like, "Why do you like driving in the rain?" And I say, "I don't know. I just do. Just do." It's a Scorpio thing.
Well, I'm gonna be happy, so
Yeah, you're gonna be happy. I'm not.
sorry.
Anyways,
Alright, guys.
bye.
Adios. Bye.
Stay spooky.
Bye.